Today we're going to talk about video editing, and more precisely, what do I use to video edit? Well, I use both DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro, actually. I know what you may be asking. How? Why? And that's because I personally have a multi-computer setup, a dual computer setup. But the trick is one is Mac, one is Windows. And that is where we get the first big difference between DaVinci Resolve and Final Cut Pro. That Final Cut Pro is currently, as of making this video, only available on Mac, whereas DaVinci Resolve is on both Mac and PC. So if you're a Windows only user, you cannot use Final Cut Pro. Though your choice becomes super easy in that case. So yeah, the pros of both and the cons of both. The biggest con for Final Cut Pro versus DaVinci Resolve is, yes, they both have free trials, or rather Final Cut Pro had a free trial, but DaVinci Resolve has a free version that's entirely free. But some of the features, such as voice isolation and premium features, are locked behind sort of paywall. So you'll have to pay for Studio for that. But other than that, both of them do have their, little things that you gripe with. But plugins do actually help. They both have support for plugins these days. I would argue that there's a lot more plugins for Final Cut Pro. So if you're into like super plugin, whatnot, that might be a way to go. DaVinci Resolve, you could probably find free plugins all over YouTube. And some of the bigger companies have started making DaVinci Resolve plugins, but it's nowhere near the focus that like it is on Mac and Final Cut Pro. So definitely keep that in mind. Really important to note that if you're super into plugins, like you want a plugin to run your life basically, Final Cut Pro might be the way for you to go right now. But with that said, DaVinci Resolve plugins are getting a lot better. Actually, there are some DaVinci Resolve plugins that I can't find an exact match for them using, for Final Cut Pro. So that's interesting, in my opinion. That is very interesting because they both have very different ways they go about the process of making plugins. DaVinci Resolve uses the Fusion tab for everything that's built right into it, whereas Final Cut Pro, how you make plugins there is you use their Apple Motion software that you'll have to use. For that, I've made a few plugins for Final Cut Pro actually. There will be a link in the description below too, where you can find it. But yeah, that is the big thing. But I know it's kind of odd to answer your question this far into the video, but I feel like I provided a bunch of answers, but the too long did not read, so of speak answer would be that if you are just starting out video editing, or maybe you're just getting on YouTube wanting to make your first couple videos, I'd say go with DaVinci Resolve, okay? Because you're still learning a few things. You can change to Final Cut Pro in the future if you wish. The main reason I say that is because if you're like me when I first started out, you don't have necessarily too much money to invest in certain things. Now, the more you grow, the more your income grows, you can, of course, invest in more software to make things a bit easier for you. And like I said, then maybe Final Cut Pro, because you will be able to just buy all the plugins if you want, or if you decide you want to stick with DaVinci Resolve. It does have a paid version, but I do recommend that you start with the free version if you choose DaVinci Resolve, okay? And then upgrade to DaVinci Resolve Studio later if you are going to be committed to DaVinci Resolve. With that said, I did not take my own advice. Or rather, I did take my own advice, but then like a year or two down the line, I ended up switching to a Mac for some of my editing. So then I ended up getting Final Cut Pro because there were certain limitations that DaVinci Resolve had to do with the way they both use titles. DaVinci Resolve doesn't let titles control whether you can reframe a video clip, whereas Final Cut Pro does. That's how that plugin works. Anyway, currently, they could change that in the future. I don't know. But yeah. And as far as what I use right now, I use DaVinci Resolve for like small, like things that I need fast, okay? Because DaVinci Resolve, I have an NVIDIA graphics card, and it just makes it render way quicker than it does in Final Cut Pro. So for now, I use DaVinci Resolve for things I need right now and stuff. But things I can wait for, like in the future, like maybe a month from now or weeks from now, I do with Final Cut Pro. I mean, because Final Cut Pro, I have, if I'm being perfectly honest, some plugins I made myself that I do actually like using quite a bit, and I rather use for some of my videos. But yeah, I hope this helped you in some way, shape, or form. I don't know if it's definitely not a comparison video per se. I just wanted to give you guys my thoughts, my opinions, and tell you guys what I use. You guys definitely let me know what you guys think. Comment section below. And with that said, I will catch you guys in the future. Later.